Kick off the summer with dealer volume bonus cash at West County Nissan. Plus, save $12,000 on new Armadas now. Just go to westcountynissan.com to receive a quote in minutes. Click to drive your new Armada home today.
Cardinals coverage on 101sports.com is brought to you by West County Nissan.
Welcome back to 101sports.com. I'm Anthony Stalter, Chris Duncan. Chris, we have not done a Redbird report in a couple weeks, man. It just feels weird.
It's been a while, a little bit of a delay, but we're back and we're ready to rock and roll.
Absolutely. Before we get going with some of the Cardinal stuff coming up, let's go back. Let's talk about the All-Star game. Had a couple Cardinals that do Rafael Furcal, good defense, Matt Holliday with the big hit. What were your impressions of the All-Star game last night?
Well, first and foremost, I was surprised at what the San Francisco Giants did. I was one of the critics that came out and was questioning some of the ballot stuffing.
Right.
And then sure enough, Milky Cabrera comes out, hits a big home run.
Not to cut you off, but I believe you said some nerd out in Silicon Valley.
Stuffing
the ballots. Rigged it, and then Pablo Sandoval comes up with a huge hit. So.
And you're exactly right, and I think the National League probably wouldn't even have won if it weren't for the Giants. Matt Cain, 2 strong innings. Pablo Sandoval did a great job at third base, came up with a bases-loaded triple. And Milky Cabrera in Kansas City, the city that he used to play in, what a terrible trade that was. He comes up with a huge home run. I was impressed with what the San Francisco Giants did, and I was impressed with the National League's pitching. I thought up and down that whole pitching staff, they had guys that were throwing smoke balls, and hands down, they had the better pitching staff.
Can we get Melky? Did nobody knew from Fox that Melky needed a translator? I'm sorry. Did you see that MVP?
I saw that. He had to get a translator.
This poor guy. He's standing up there. The Giants supply him with a translator all the time, and then Fox they roll right into it without it. He kept thanking the fans. He didn't know what the questions were.
Well, Pedro Gomez ended up hooking him up, and I think he took care of the translation for Milky Cabrera. But that was a little odd. But I thought it was exciting to see the Giants players really step up, especially considering all the criticism they got. And even Tony La Russa and Papa Dunk got criticized for picking Matt Cain over R.A. Dickey to start the game, and he came out and was dominant. I thought the strikeout of Jose Bautista with the 95-mile-an-hour fastball in the first inning was huge, and he kind of set the tone for the whole game.
Yeah, it was kind of a little bit of vindication for, like you said, Tony La Russa, Dave Duncan, and the Giants. Getting back onto the Cardinals here, Chris, what are some of the realistic trade options that the Cardinals have? We like to throw out all kinds of names. Houston Street, Zach Greinke. We're going to get all these guys, but what are the realistic options for the Cardinals?
I think in the media, it's easy for us to get caught up in the big names. And John Mozeliak was on the Bernie Show yesterday, and he talked about with the new CBA, some of the new rules in place, how difficult it's going to be to trade for those big names, especially when they're going to be basically rental players and you're not getting any draft pick compensation in return. I think the Cardinals are okay with what they have in the rotation, especially considering that Jaime Garcia is coming back in August. I wouldn't be surprised if they go look for a legit middle reliever. A guy that I really like is Luke Gregerson for the San Diego Padres. He's still 2 more years eligible in arbitration. That's the type of guy, if you made a deal for him, you'd have him for 3 years in place. His salary is only $1.5 million. He actually used to be with the Cardinals. They traded him to the San Diego Padres. That's the type of guy, if you could explore getting him, I think would be really interesting. And I talked to a San Diego scout last week, and he said they're really interested in a shortstop. Ryan Jackson right now is hitting .278 in AAA. He's shown everybody that he's a legitimate middle infield prospect. Maybe you take a look at a guy like Luke Gregerson and try to bring him back to St. Louis. He's got a great slider. Mozeliak talked about wanting a guy that can strike somebody out. This guy almost strikes out 10 batters per 9 innings. Also, Grant Balfour in Oakland, this guy's under a 2-year contract. You bring him in, you have the ability to retain him next year. Those are the type of guys that are more realistic options than some of the big-name guys like Brett Myers, who's making $11 million a year.
Sure. Let's spin it forward now. The Cardinals took 2 of 3 from the Marlins in their series right before the break. But right out of the gates, look, we know it's a full second half season. You're not going to, if they come out and they get swept, don't get too down. But we've got the Reds and we've got the Brewers coming up right out of the gates. How important is it to start off hot?
I think it's huge. You're starting off the second half against the Cincinnati Reds. Dusty Baker, great manager. Joey Votto's having a terrific year at first base. Ryan Ludwig's emerging in left field. Jay Bruce was the all-star right fielder. They've got a lot of weapons in Cincinnati, and to me, because of Matt Latos and Johnny Cueto at the front of the rotation, I think that they're the biggest threat to the Cardinals, and I think this is a great chance to really size them up. I wouldn't be surprised if Walt Jocketty goes all in. He knows that Mike Matheny's in his first year at manager. He knows that Albert Albert Pujols is gone, and he looks at this as his best opportunity ever to make a run at the National League Central. And they've been linked to rumors with Carlos Quentin in San Diego, Shane Victorino in Philadelphia, even Juan Pierre. I would not be surprised if Walt Jocketty goes out and makes a huge move for an outfielder and tries to run away with the National League Central. But great opportunity for the Cardinals to size up the Reds.
That's a great point about the Reds because now is their window to strike.
It is. I really think it is.
Yeah. That's your Redbird Report. This time around, I'm Anthony Staltzer for Chris Duncan. Until next time.